Today, we're going to be drinking Nika coffee grind whiskey. We'll talk about that later. I'm Venki.
Hi, this is Prithvi.
Hi, this is Chaitanya. Welcome, guys.
Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 films that we have seen in 2023, right?
Yep. So I think among the three of us,
Indian films.
yeah. So I guess among the three of us, we have covered like quite a lot of movies, pan India. So today we're just going to do like what works the most for us.
Yeah, I think like 2023 has been a year of reclamation for Indian cinema, like after the pandemic slump, right? Like, we had Jawan and multiple 1,000 crore movies and...
Yeah, I mean, especially I think for Bollywood, from a number standpoint, they've done exceedingly well this year relative to last year, the last couple of years actually. But I think South cinema was doing okay last year as well.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks to the Atlees. Alright, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers to movies, I guess.
Cheers to movies, yes.
Cheers to movies.
Alright, so I'm gonna start with my top 5, right? Like the 5th movie for me this year was Dada. Dada is a Tamil movie. It's debutante director, and Kavin is the lead actor. And I mean, I weep during the movies, and this movie absolutely had me like sniffling and like, you know what I mean? Like, so absolutely loved the movie, and second half like kind of was the redemption arc on the second half, like the payoff on the second half was, this is such a feel-good movie for how intense it was. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean that was a really good watch, Dada, for sure. My number 5 was a real good watch, but didn't make it to my top 5. Just want to say that my number 5 is this Telugu movie Balagam. I'm not sure if you guys have watched it.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, so Balagam was like really nice movie. So it was a movie set up in rural Telangana, like full one of the classic words, raw and rustic. That's what they always say. It was completely set up in a rural setup. So relatable, even though it was very Telangana in its representation, any person watching in India could feel like that could be your village. The way they showed it, and the best part of the movie was the entire movie happens at a scene where there's like someone has died in the family, a grandfather has died in the family. The entire movie is about the final rites of the grandfather. Like it's set in he's dead to his last rites.
And it's Balagam, you said.
Balagam.
Balagam.
It's
And
the
it
first
explores some cast angles as well, I heard.
More than the
Which
cast.
is unusual for Telugu cinema, actually.
Right.
They don't delve into
It's been done,
cast
but like not as
explicitly.
much as Tamil cinemas, right?
More than the cast angle of it, what it really explores is that how like the family gets together for the last rites. So everyone's meeting after a long time, and everyone's just busy in their own world. So the family comes, and then within a few days, like the grandfather the last rites hasn't happened yet, but already the family start fighting, and they start talking about like how they're gonna split
I would
their
want to watch that.
land.
Like that's what happened in my family.
Like, there's one brother who comes from Gujarat and
Right.
stuff like that. So eventually there's a big payoff where they really realize the value of family. So this is a brilliant watch.
Okay.
Nice.
Is that like a first film for the director? Or like,
Yeah, this is a debutant director too.
it's
Who
amazing.
was
Like,
a comedian
Yeah.
for almost 20 years in the Telugu film.
who is that?
There's a guy called Venu.
Venu.
Oh, Venu. I know him.
Not Venu Madhav Venu.
Yeah.
He's a different
gotcha.
guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, not as popular,
Okay.
but popular enough that
Popular
he's been
enough.
there in the industry for
Gotcha.
more than 20
It's
years.
definitely not Venu Madhav, because Venu Madhav also had his last rites for real. So
Ah man, okay. That did not. Sorry.
Yeah.
it's really a heartwarming watch. Lovely movie. Yeah. So you next, Adrian.
Very dark word play there by Prithvi.
Half of my heart is like feeling sad, but this is an opportunity, so carpe diem, motherfucker.
I'm sorry guys, I couldn't hold it.
Love you for that.
Alright, so my number 5 is a Telugu movie called Virupaksha.
Oh yeah.
So Virupaksha is sort of like, I mean, it's a horror movie.
Sangeeta and
Um,
the ghost. Yeah, I watched that. You made me watch that movie. Yeah, I
so
loved it.
It's so Telugu cinema has actually been producing horrendous horror movies over the last few years.
Yeah.
So this came in as a real surprise, and right from the first frame till the end, it kind of keeps you engaged. I wouldn't say it's a perfect film. By no means is it a perfect movie, because one, the acting could have been way better. Both the leads are weak,
Yeah.
but the movie is still good.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about the writing of the movie.
Yeah.
But I think the leads have their own reason. One of them was coming out of an accident or whatever. But as an audience, I don't care about that context, right? So I felt like the acting could have been way better.
As a critic, we do. As an audience,
Yeah.
Like he could not have done the movie to begin with, right? Why he
Right.
had to, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what I really enjoyed is like the background music. I enjoyed the cinematography in the movie.
Yeah.
It's done in a way which is very different from other Telugu movies. So Telugu cinema has this very specific kind of color palette when it comes to commercial
Oh
movies.
yes.
All the
Yes.
movies look a certain way.
Yeah.
This goes away from that.
Actually, there are pretty few movies this year in Telugu cinema that went away from
Went
that.
away from that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
and I
Welcoming
mean,
change that was.
yeah, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. The horror elements worked well because there was a strong script, and it was done in a way where it was, again, Kantar has done that really well last year, but this one too is very rooted, so I loved it.
And
I can't stop laughing because like there was a meme in like the Tamil meme nation, right? Like, bro, how much do you want an auntie? Like, this is spoiler alerts. I mean, the movie is done. 2023, guys, come on. Like, guy loves auntie so much, he's willing to risk getting haunted for it.
No, I mean, props to Ajnish Loknath. If
Yeah.
he is the music director, BGM is gonna like be fire. He's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
4.
So my number 4 is actually a Malayalam movie called Iratta.
Irata.
So,
Right.
Iratta.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I watched the movie first, I hated it because of the climax and just the climax. The climax had such an impact on me that left a very sour taste in my mouth, and kind of was like, what the fuck? Why did they have to do that? But then eventually, I started thinking a lot more about the movie and how they actually ended up doing it, and I now actually like the fact that they went in that direction. It was pretty sort of bold of the director to make that choice. The other thing you have
And
to
the
talk
story
about,
writer.
yeah. And the other thing you have to really commend is the performance by the lead, Jojo
George.
Jojo
Yeah, yeah.
George. He was incredible. Like, I mean, he was playing twins, and you could clearly tell that those are two different people with extremely different personalities, and that was something that, yeah. So I mean, I really enjoyed that movie.
So I liked the movie, but I felt like the shock value of the climax makes it feel like a better thriller than it is. Because these kind of like dual roles and whatever, the investigative guy and him going and like, he's a cop, right?
Correct.
He's like
Both
a
are.
drunkard cop.
Both are.
Right?
Yeah.
This whole drunkard cop who is suspended, but he comes because he's the smartest guy. Trope has been played out quite a bit of times.
Right.
And the suspense element is there. It is decent watch, but I always felt like the hype about that movie was because of the shock value of the climax, which was pretty shocking, right? I completely agree with you.
Yeah, for me, actually, when I watched it first time, I liked everything except the climax. So because I was
the movie
looking
had
at,
to marinate in you. a little
yeah,
bit.
and then eventually I made peace with the climax. Is what happened, right? And I appreciated it, but still, like what I really liked about the movies was everything that came before it.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, different to what you
Yeah.
felt, but
I see.
cinematography, the fact that everything was done in like such small budget. In pretty much the whole movie happens in the police station, right?
They've nailed this like format down, like where you keep the head costs down, but you still deliver like a really punchy movie.
Right.
4? You're 4?
Okay, after that, now my number 4 is this Hindi movie 12th Fail. Not sure.
I haven't watched it.
it.
Yeah, I saw
haven't
some
watched it
snippets. I think I will love that movie. But wait, is it 2023 or is it
Yeah, it was
2024?
2023.
Okay.
12th Fail. So even me, I think the movie released a while ago, and all over
Oh,
Twitter,
it's like a
everyone,
slow, right? Gotcha.
all over Twitter, everyone's about this movie. I thought, you know what, probably I just watch it, and it's your classic, like like a good for nothing guy eventually preparing for civil exams and acing it, his whole journey. There are some beautiful, inspiring lines. So,
It's your typical good for nothing. Preparing for UPSC.
yeah.
Typical, very typical.
Very,
You're still on H1B, da.
Yeah. So,
And then acing it.
Acing it. Just typical.
Just
Acing
civil
it.
exams,
Good for
right?
nothing.
Just
Yeah.
no big deal.
Yeah. So these movies can never go wrong, right? These movies can never go wrong. These heartwarming moments
There's a
where
feel good factor.
feel good factor to it, and it worked. It worked like always.
Okay, my number 4, and I'm gonna talk about this for a second. Jiggers and a Double X, right? So to me, like the movie is kind of really, really meta. I cannot stop talking about this. I think for a while now, Karthik Subraj has been trying to tell the world something, right? Like he's been trying to tell the people like how he actually feels about the 2008 Sri Lankan, 2008-9, the Sri Lankan massacre of Tamil people, right? He's been trying to like address this in like however he wants to process it, right? And I think he was finally able to do it. I would like, if at all, at some point in some weird cosmic ways, like the world works, like if at all Karthik Subraj, if he says like, yeah, that's what I did, I would be fucking like, it'd be as high for me. Because as much as Jagametandiram wasn't everyone's thing, I thought like this is what he was trying to do, and that's like, to me, like movie is an expression of society itself, right?
Yeah, there too, it's like there's a lot of
Yes.
Sri Lankan.
Oh yeah,
Tamils
the first scene in the introduction of Lawrence in Jigar and Double X, they're talking about like, oh no, he is actually in like Valvedithurai or like somewhere in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
But then he is not there. So why have that in a movie that's gonna talk about eradication of a culture by the state?
Interesting. So, just one quick thought, right? So, the movie actually talks about the medium that's movies or
Right.
cinema
As-
as a tool or a weapon
Right.
that you could use,
Right.
He could have done that directly with the Sri Lanka and Tamil's conflict at that point.
You
right?
couldn't, because this is still a taboo subject. You still have to talk about this in meta, right? And the wounds are like pretty raw, right? Like, at least for me, like I'm a Tamil person, like, to me, like whatever is happening in Palestine right now, it's triggering a lot. It brings me a lot of memories from 2008. So of course, like, we still have to be a little more metaphorical about it. And that's what he does it really, really well. So S.J. Surya's character is actually him, right? He starts making movies for fun or like for whatever purposes or lack of purposes that there is. But as he starts doing it, he discovers a higher purpose,
Yeah.
right? And then you see this character that finds himself, like, in so many ways, like Lawrence and S.J. Surya are the same people, right? They're just doing like whatever the fuck they want, and then at some point they're like, upon facing reality, they're like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna become. Amazing character arc, amazing like hero's journey stuff, and the climax was absolutely like celebratory.
It's
First
impossible
half.
to not tear up.
First half, I was like, not again Karthik Subraj, please, because I love him so much. Like, to me, it's like, don't miss the second. Mahan is one of my favorite movies ever. He got shit on for Mahan. He didn't deserve it. The movie is fucking top A. But, this is JTX, Jiggers and Double X is like his coming back. Lawrence, S.J. Surya, fantastic, phenomenal actor. And then, like music by Santosh Narayan. And of course, like, nailed it through,
Yeah.
and a pretty gutsy movie too. There is a lot of political references that is gonna get a theater burn, but like he did it anyway. I loved that movie, so it's still number 4 though.
Yeah, it's one of his most complete movies.
Yeah, it's complete. There are so many self-containing references. I don't want to go into details, but maybe some other day. But that's my number 4.
So you're number 3.
Oh, my number 3. I gotta look at my Yatisai. I've told you guys, like, I mean, they don't speak Tamil as much as I do, and they do understand Tamil. But Yatisai has a lot of archaic Tamil that I'm kind of sort of familiar with, right? Tamil தெரியும்.
தமிழ் கத்துக்கணுமா? சொல்லுடா.
Like enough to get into an auto and then go. But not as you don't know. So, but Yatisai is kind of like really archaic Tamil, right? So, the research he went into that movie, like, man, like, for shame on Ponniyin Selvan, actually. Like, to take like such a great not mythology, it's work of fiction, but and ruin it completely was what Ponniyin Selvan did, according to me. But like Yatisai came out of nothing. It delivered what Ponniyin Selvan should have been, and it was so complete, so raw, like the patriarchy of it, like how much it is disgusting. Like that, like, dude, like the director, I love him. I'm expecting more from him. I still haven't seen their first movie. It's apparently yet to release.
This is the second movie?
This is the second movie released. It's got like much more widespread recognition. They're hoping for their first movie to get a little bit of a windfall to pick it up, right? And I'm hoping for that. The dialogues were like freaking phenomenal in that movie, right? How do you have a mass dialogue in like 8th century Tamil? Like nin kudi taag, nin mudi taag. It's fucking amazing.
I can think of something. Yemali, Tani Vali.
That's not 8th century. That is 1998. Is not 8th century. Okay, so Yatisai is my 4th favorite film in 2023.
Third favorite film.
A 3rd favorite film, and once the subtitles out, we're gonna watch it together again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you think it will work with subtitles also? Because a lot of
I think all of us are fine with watching movies with subtitles. It'll work for sure.
This movie also will work.
Yeah. There is, because the storytelling is done more visually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 3 is. Although I don't speak much Tamil, but I've seen a lot of Tamil movies, and it's a fantastic year for Tamil. My number 3 is Portholil.
Oh, yeah.
And wow, so I'm personally a lover of thriller movies. I guess most people are, but I'm sure Portholil is right in most people's lists. For me, it makes it into the top 5 because just love thriller movies, and like these kind of the twists and whatever thrills they have in the movie have been done in the past, and yet it's fresh. Like, you know what's happening, and yet you don't know what's happening. And he managed it really, really well. I loved it, and it's a fantastic movie. The BGM was great, the acting was great, and the cop combo of Ashok Selvan and Sarath Kumar, that was a very well done like combo too. So worked on multiple levels for me. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah. By the way, I had a big debate in my head about whether that was my number 5 or Virupaksha was.
That's right.
And I almost felt like I was cheating myself by selecting Virupaksha over this for a very long time. So Portholil was on the list as my number 5. But then eventually I ended up choosing Virupaksha just for what it meant to Telugu cinema.
Right. No, and you should.
The impact
That's
it
what
has.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The impact it has on, like, because right after that now there are like multiple movies in the horror genre.
100%.
So like, I mean, I felt like that kind of won me over, like, or just made it a notch better. But otherwise,
like,
I think subjectively, if I have to compare, I really like Portholil more.
Tamil cinema always delivers like thrillers which are like just fantastic. Wow. Amazing.
I mean, with Portholil, like, it's not on my list, I'm sorry, but with Portholil, I felt like I did not enjoy that. Again, spoilers. I did not enjoy that the antagonist is introduced towards the end. That's kind of a little bit cheating. But what I really enjoyed about that movie is like you end up feeling sad for the antagonist, right? Like it's like sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Vengeance trilogy.
Right.
There's a little bit of echo of that. Like you feel bad for Sarakku and you feel bad for this man. And when a movie recruits you to feel bad for the bad guy as well, that's a job well done.
It's interesting. It's an interesting point you mentioned, because what Poor Tolil tries to do is red herring is a classic plot point in thriller movies, right?
Right.
So Poor Tolil, I think the problem, it's a valid point what you're saying, because they overdo the red herring to a level where you don't even know who the real villain is.
Right.
So Sarath Babu's way of like him being the red herring, it worked so well.
It did.
But I do see what you're saying, where that you're constantly focusing on him, but then because the movie had to focus on him, they didn't have enough scenes to place the actual villain here and there. That would have probably worked. The only scene where they place him was where
and the movie was smart enough to have like Easter eggs through and through, but they didn't do this one. So that's one problem with it.
That's a fair point.
Chaitru, one more drink.
I'm still
working on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
still working on it.
So alright, that's my number 3. What's Chaitanya's?
Yeah, so my number 3 is Sapta Sagar Dache Yellow Side B. So absolutely loved Side A, and super excited getting into Side B. I hope I don't spoil the movie for Venki. I don't think you've watched the movie yet.
No, what? Side A?
Side B.
Side B I haven't watched. Yeah.
So, but then another great movie. It could have been better. I liked Side A more, so which is already a spoiler. So but Side B too was fantastic. The couple of things that I do want to emphasize on is one, Rakshit Shetty's character in Side A and Rakshit Shetty's character in Side B, if you watch them as two separate films, are completely different. One is just a cab driver who's trying to make ends meet, and he falls in love with a girl, and then in situations put him in a place where he has to go to the jail, and all the struggles that come with it. Side B is about almost like a psychopath, right? But and the way I think about whenever there's an actor doing a psychopath movie, it's super easy to sell it by being really loud. It's extremely difficult to sell it by being subtle, to still be a psychopath, right? When you see the psychopath Rakshit Shetty in Side B, you still know it's the same innocent guy from Side A, which I thought was outstanding writing as well as outstanding acting.
Him being an excellent writer, director as well.
Himself, I'm sure, he understood the essence and what the director was trying to go for. The music too worked for me from a BGM standpoint. The songs didn't work as well as they did for Side A. But otherwise, overall, the movie was great. The performances were great. And a special mention to the action sequence in the end of Side B. Fantastically done. I didn't expect that from the
waiting actually.
That director.
It felt very Korean in its interpretation.
Yeah, it was outstanding. It felt like something I've not seen from Indian cinema before.
100%.
Bro, Side B is coming up in Prime. So if you're like me, you haven't watched it, watch Side A and Side B together in Prime, Amazon Prime. It's fantastic.
So here's my thing about Side B, right? One thing which I did not understand, if you will, was one, I felt like Priya's role was very one-dimensional in the movie. I think they oversold her being busy in her family life idea. I felt one more thing I felt was I felt a little cheated that look, either you show that they're actually meeting and they're having a conversation, or you don't, right? They showed it and then they made it like a dream sequence. I don't even know what they did it.
Don't go into those. That's the spoiler bit I was talking about.
You're 2, da? You're 3. 3 or 2?
You already got.
So actually,
you have to start your 2.
Yeah. So that was my 3. So now I'm supposed to talk about my 2. So 2 for me this year is Jigartanda XX. So I'm I mean, Venki already spoke about a lot of things about Jigar Tanda, so I'm not going to go into the same set of things. But absolutely loved the acting, absolutely loved the directing. I've been a Karthik Subbaraj fan from
Pizza.
Pizza and
Jigar Tanda.
not even Jigar Tanda one, like what's the kidnapping movie called? Soodhakam.
Soodhakam is
wasn't,
not
wasn't-
him. He produced it.
Oh, he produced it. Okay.
Yeah. It is Nalan.
I see.
Nalan Kumar.
I see. Oh, okay, my bad. But then I somehow in my head that was
There is
Soodhakam
three
was a
boys,
great
bro.
movie.
Like
Yeah.
they're kind of like same group. They write for
From the
each
same
other. They
school, so-
produce for each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love Jigar Tanda as well. Like I mean, and Pizza too. But this for me by far was his best work. And across the board, I think across disciplines, everyone hit it out of the park. Like it very seldom happens where everyone's excellent. at what they're doing.
The music work,
You spoke
direction
about
was.
the music,
Yup.
you spoke about acting, so I'm not going to go into that. I
You
think
can.
they did a really good homage to Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I absolutely I mean, you knew it was CGI.
Wild,
Panga-
yeah.
You knew it was CGI, but
Yeah.
it really worked.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
worked like magic.
Yeah.
And it's because
I
it's
think the
Clint
point
Eastwood,
is also
you
like to make
completely-
it look like a CGI. as
Yeah,
well,
right.
Yeah.
So
Because the elephant CGI is completely different from Clint Eastwood CGI.
CGI,
That
yeah,
is
and the Clint
intentional.
right,
Yeah.
and it's all from the past, right? It's almost him narrating the story about.
Right,
yeah.
So, and even until the end, you don't really know if that really happened or not. So, it kind of could look CGI even in his head.
He's
think
crazy
about it.
enough to do.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
love that. And like you said, the movie is very meta, uses cinema as a weapon to achieve the means.
Let
to
me
the
add
end,
something to it, right? Like I forgot about that. Like, so this is what's happening in Bihar right now. It's what's happening in Orissa right now. It's what's happening in whenever there is some company that is like, hey, the tribal land, there is minerals in it. I want to take it. Like, it's for the future for this country. What about the future for the tribe, right? Like, so Tamil movies have in the last 3-4 years they've been touching this elaborately every now and then, but I think with Karthik Subbaraj's Jigar Tanda XXX, this is like a much more decisive. You know what? I don't think you guys get metaphors anymore. I'm gonna be as brutal as I can be, and he did it. So mad respect.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, just to wrap it up on that, so the movie is about like a movie within a movie, right? Like a cinema within a cinema.
Yeah.
That's been a trope that has been done in the past, as
Right.
well. We saw it in Jigar Tanda.
Yeah. That's why it's double X.
Yeah, double
right?
X.
Yeah.
So, but absolutely loved it the way he did it in this one.
Yes.
Because it actually, the way it ends with Lawrence actually talking to the audience, absolutely love that I mean, the way that entire thing was directed.
Right. For my boy.
And even, for my boy.
boy.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
the interval sequence, there is like two sorts of
It was a beautiful shot.
Right.
I mean, there's one trying to shoot
Right.
and the other trying to shoot.
Shoot,
Right?
yeah.
So-
Who's gonna,
like-
metaphorical as fuck. Like they both
Yeah.
know who the other person is. Like
Yeah.
there's no cheating anymore.
Outstanding,
Yeah.
definitely up there for me.
Guys, we can
absolutely-
continue talking about Jigar Tanda because it's my number 2 also. So I'm giving you guys 2 more minutes now. So yeah, what a fantastic movie. Just loved it. And touching upon a few things which you guys only mentioned, right? Like I always felt like Karthik Subbaraj leaves something asking. His movies never felt complete for me. Like Jigar Tanda 1, first half was like goosebumps. Interval was like unbelievable, and second half didn't seem complete.
Felt cheated.
Felt cheated. Same with I'm a Talaibar fan and I was waiting for Peta. Peta was the same thing too. First half was fantastic. Second half was like he goes to North
Peter
India.
is such a fantastic movie, and then this Karthik Subbaraj obsession with I'm gonna flip on you to the
Yeah.
audience, no?
Love that.
Hated it, bro. Let Vijay Sethupathi be Talaivar's son, bro. Please.
I perfectly nailed it, Macha. His obsession with wanting to. Sometimes you don't want it to be flipped. Sometimes you are like, just follow the linear line.
I know all the tricks.
Right, it's okay. I don't want all this to be keep talking about some random shit. But this movie was just so complete, and I think I was reading a book. I think we were discussing about it, right? I was reading a book by James Monaco called How to Read a Film, and he says there are 3 aspects to what you call a movie, the cinema, the film, and the movie. The cinema is the technical aspect of it, the sound design, the cinematography, the editing, etc. The film is the political angle. What's the message the movie wants to convey? And movie is the business of it. So Marvel is a movie, but it's not cinema. So this classic meme, right? Scorsese, this is cinema meme. If you had to put it, Jigatanda is that movie because it's checked off two of these boxes. It is a cinematic.
100% agreed.
It is a
common agreement.
It is a cinematic experience, and also it's got a political messaging.
All three.
All three also. And
perfectly well contained. Hats off, Karthik Subraj. This is cinema.
This is cinema. That meme is meant for this movie. Absolutely loved it. That's my number 2 also. Yeah,
okay, so my number 2 is Sapta Sagara Dache.
I think it's going to be like,
but it's side A actually. This movie is a revelation, right? Like, I mean, it's such a different take on, like, you know, I can see where he is borrowing all the references from. I can see like where the inspirations are from, but still it's like so rooted, right? Like, for example, the lead actress character, right? Like, it's again, this is what I love about movies. All the 5 movies I've mentioned today like have one thing in common: they are self-referencing themselves, right? And in SSA, Saptasagaracha Yellow, you would see that like whatever the lead actress is going to do, she already tells you that, like, you know, like the character is true to itself, right? And then there is this, like, the characters, of course, like, that's what I'm trying to say. The characters were, like, shown really freaking complete. It's like someone wrote it, like an author who has penned down 100 books has written those characters, right?
It's a poem.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have like this kind of lovers vibing with each other, right? Like, she's calling him like egghead, mudde, makkanaye, this and that, like this and that, like, bro, like, I got reminded of my, right, like my puppy love and, like, you know, all of that. Like, it was amazing to see that. And the dialogues of that, right, like, I was complaining, my complaint with Salar was that, like, the dialogues had to be that, right? It has to reflect the characters, and it didn't that. But in this movie, it was that great. As a non-Kannada speaker, for me to, like, watch that and think that, like, bro, this was my life, like, achievement, right? Peak cinema. And then the movie in itself, like, you know, how the post-globalization India is kind of brutal towards, like, people that we don't think about, right?
There's
like,
subtle class messaging also there.
oh no, not subtle.
Yeah.
Loud class messages.
I meant to say subtle because
you have this, like,
you sneaked it in there, even though you want to tell you a love story.
That manager's character, that manager, for example, we're talking about it, like, you know, that's like, there's this term, it's called lumpen, right? Like, the lumpen, it's like someone who is actually from the working class, but because he's working for a rich person, or because he's working for, they kind of associate, they're a class traitor. Right. So the manager is kind of like that. Like, even though he is, like, he has to have more sympathy, more empathy towards this driver, he's actually, like, the one that is screwing him over, right? So loved that. I felt like this movie was referencing to that post-90s India. That was the cleave that we have right now. Was like, that's the movie was recording that. And then loved how nonchalantly progressive the mom's character and like the girl's character was. Like, it wasn't like in your nose, like, guys, Andrea in Masters, like, going like launch an arrow. It wasn't that. It's like, no, hey, what did you do? Like, when dad died, like, you were thinking about him and you stayed single. No, like, why are you upon the business? Right, like the kind of waiting for the boyfriend, the love of her life, it's not regressive. It's an act of, like, I love him. I don't give a shit what the society thinks. That's, you know what I mean? So I loved all of that. It got me super emo. The way I'm talking about this, you guys would have probably figured out. Like, I love this movie. And then to me, the kid that dies inside the tank,
Yeah.
that's the self-referencing part that I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about, right?
absolutely.
Like that being like you were talking about it too, like how that guy being an alter ego of like what he is, and the anger that he gets at the end of Yellow Side A when he is like letting it all go after the love of his life is married, even though he's the one that proposed it, he is letting it go at that man, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Peak cinema for like this is the moment that I watched cinema for. Loved it.
Awesome.
Wow.
What's your number one?
Wait, before number one, we probably need to do some honorable
Honorable
mentions
mentions.
because there's quite a few
Hey,
movies.
wait, no.
quite a few movies.
First of all, we need to top up on this. I think Chaitanya at least needs a top up.
Sure. I mean, you all do. Like, I mean, then you finish it.
I mean, I am already on my round two. Like this is like 45%, bro. Okay, speaking of this, like this is one of the oldest distilleries in Japan, 1920s. This is one of the few distilleries that is still owned by Japanese folk. Everything else is owned by Jim Beam or someone else.
Was it in Hiroshima? Because pre-1945, all I know about Japan is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So
Well, you should know because this is one of the finest whiskies that ever existed. Nika coffee grind from the Nika distilleries. And apparently the dude studied biochemistry in London, in England. And then he went to train to how to make whiskey in the Scotch, like the Scottish Highlands, where the Scotch is made. And then he's like, I'm going to take it all back to my home country and then make this. And
Nice.
like 100 years later, you're sitting here like thinking, what the fuck is this drink? This is fucking
Really good.
it's
Yep.
really good.
It's one of
And
my
it's not
favorite.
like your usual Japanese whiskey. It
Yep.
does feel a little different. It does feel very scotchy.
It does feel very scotchy. It
Yeah.
has that punch to it, and it also gets you drunk. So. Can I do my top one now?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Did you guys do top one?
No, you go first.
Okay, so my top one is Vidudalai. Okay, so if you see me like biting my because to me Vidudalai is the kind of movie, the literature that our world needs, right? Like because every other country that has got the same socio-political economic structure that we have, they have been making movies like Vidudalai forever, right? And for us, like we have to wait for Vetrimaran to go through the arc that he has went through for like Suri to become who he has become. And I loved Suri in that movie. And Vijay Sethupathi, right? For us to have this fantastic artistic film. And the movie is not like, it's not like saying like, hey, like this movie is supposed to be like, no, the subject matter is this intense. Like, so this is the frame you watch it. It also has so many technical information into it, like the opening tracking shot, for example, like it's just like one singular shot for like 10-11 minutes, and the kind of work that went into it is mind-blowing. I appreciate the movie so much. Ilayaraja is
I'm smiling for a reason, guys.
Yeah.
There's
there's going to be hatred. There's going to be hatred coming. Hold on.
Just a couple of
Hold on.
days. Huge debate.
Yeah.
Huge debate.
Yeah.
Like there was like
Right.
all the, I mean,
Right.
I was the one who was sitting in the middle to stop them from
Like
punching
it's-
each other.
Yeah.
Now I'm on this side.
My blood is
Yeah.
boiling
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
If they punch each
Flex.
other, like this is a different kind of podcast. okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, we'll get there later.
Some campaign is going on. You said
yeah, no, so
we
like
saying
Vidudalai, right? And
Yeah.
then so like to me, the thing that like people fail to, or like people complain about the movie in much more deeper level is, why are you showing Suri as this person like who is, you kind of don't want to hate him, right? But that's the point. Not everyone in the police force, or like not everyone who is chappy, not everyone who is in the Matrix world, some of the robots are actually helping humans. Not everyone who belongs in that classified oppressive sector, oppressive category, or evil people that are actively choosing that. Some of them are just they're what they are born into. It just like happens there, and then upon facing those choices, they become the hero, right? So Suri is actually all of us, right? Like every single Indian citizen that has this black and white view about like, yo, why is people of like this tribal people of Jharkhand is protesting like a mining operation, don't they want like the best for the country, right? Charlie Munger, this video went viral, like, he was for Berkshire Hathaway. He was saying like, oh, like, what, like, we don't like India because these people are protesting and we don't like that, right? Well, fuck you and stay dead, motherfucker, because the protesting, the art of protesting is what makes the democracy, right? You cannot in America go to a tribal land, and this happened in the Montana gas pipe, like, a project. You cannot go to a tribal land and be like, what, give this land away for the economic development of the country, but the actual economic development of the country is actually to Adani and Ambani's. Right? So to me, the subject matter this movie delivered is 100 out of 10. How it delivered is 50 out of 10. Ilayaraja's music, the technical aspects, everything was freaking fantastic. It was a fantastic movie, except the fact Vetrimaran has to stop taking some sort of prestige in not completing a movie. Okay, so this like lip sync, like in his most recent interview, he said, do you want a good movie or do you want good dialogues, right? Why are they mutually exclusive?
So just touching upon that, right?
One second, Machan. Yeah. 1 second. Why are they mutually exclusive? Because to me, a great movie with dialogues that are lip synced, it's not too much to ask for, right? Reshoot if you want better actors, if you want more actors, if you want a better producer, if you want, do all of that, but like please stop giving this as an excuse, like as like it's almost like you're owning up to it. That's like, hey, you know what, I am unapologetic, right? Like, doesn't work, man. Like, you are one of the finest creators in India right now. There is so much that is yet to come from you, but to just be like, I'm gonna shoot whatever the fuck I want and then like lip sync off, like, like later and say a completely different thing with not even timing that is coming in correctly. Like, this has got to stop, right? And despite all of this movie is still my top 1 movie to come out of 2023. I couldn't stop like tearing up during the movie because of how much it is not fiction. Right. There are several people like they're talking about like, hey, this dehumanizes women. This is like, I don't like, women do not have agency. Go say Veerappan's documentary that was released from Nakir, and I forgot the title of it, but like, go watch that. You're not reading the news. You're not listening to your people. You do not know about Vachati incident. You do not know about what happened in some forest land 10 years ago. And if there is one guy that is like, you know what, guys, I know you guys are not reading about this because this wasn't shown in your newspapers, this wasn't shown in your news articles, this wasn't a meme, this wasn't a YouTube video. Let me make a movie and show you guys what we are complicit of. And then you guys are like, oh, this guy is some sort of a deviant. This guy is some sort of demented man who is showing this sort of like violence, rape, and all of that. Go read about Vachati incident. That's why this movie will still remain the best of 2023. Matter of fact, best of this decade for me. And I'm already announcing it. And sorry it got so intense, but this is how I feel about the movie.
So my number 1 is again Saptasagara Yellow Side A. I think at this point we're just going to echo a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I love that about us. Like I
love that movie. Yeah. Side A. So I don't know if I have to describe Side A. I felt like I'm drowning in a sea, and I want to continue drowning in that sea. I felt that like in the theater, it was just so overwhelming. Like
really sad.
Yeah, like in sitting in the theater, sitting in the middle, the whole sound, man, that scene where they meet in the prison.
Poetic, Messi.
The scene where
like I want them to get together, but not happening.
Yeah.
If they did get together, this movie fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in the scene where in the prison, how they used the clock ticking as BGM with amazing editing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
bro,
man.
crazy. How much like he defends that song, that that cassette.
Wow, what?
Right? Side A cassette.
Yeah.
That tick, tick, tick.
Object of desire.
I never knew you could amplify a clock ticking and use it so well in an emotional scene like that. Oh my god, I was just
we
blown
haven't
away.
seen
Blown
end of
away.
Rakshit Shetty. Who's the director of SSA?
Hemant Rao.
We haven't seen the end of them. Like
Apparently, even his previous films are amazing.
I've seen I've seen that movie. Amazing movie. I've seen Kauludari, amazing. I love him. So side A, wow, like that scene and climax. I guess everyone it's just
Side A is. I mean, I'll accept this. It's not just because I'm Tamil that I chose Vidudalai, but like the kind of subject matter that Vidudalai was touching is what I'm like,
Exactly
like, that's why I chose
made
Vidudalai.
Yeah.
But as a pure like objective movie guy, SSA is my pick one.
Side A is the most amazing experience for me. Period. All experiences put together,
Like the
Not just-
detailing, no?
not
Like
just the
they're
movie
just
of it.
trying to talk to each other, but they're not able to talk to each other.
Yeah. I
Right,
mean,
like-
by the way, guys, since we are anyways discussing this, Side A is my number one as well.
Oh.
And wrap it up. So, you guys already know it. There's no surprise there.
Right.
So,
Like, there's so many scenes, so many shots. It's so beautiful. Like the color, like there's always a tinge of blue in the movie. Cinematically, it's brilliant.
How rain is used, how water is used in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even when he's beating that guy up, like it's happening in like that where you would wash your clothes, like that's him cleansing.
Yeah.
Like the way the water was used in that movie was the guy who was dying in the water tank. He's fucking purifying his like whatever the dirt that happened to him in the water tank. Like this, like there's so much poetry in that movie.
So much poetry. And we haven't even gotten into the fact that like you feel so relatable with the two characters. That the romance, whatever they've shown, it's the romance right? Your friends are having it, like you had it in your life. Like the way they show, like how they're eating puffs.
that was his point as well,
simple scenes, right? It's like your everyday couple. I'm not even getting into that aspect of the movie. That in itself is like another genius thing. Just the pure.
Who is that Exactly. Has had so many puffs,
I mean, you guys pretty much spoke about a whole lot of it. All the reasons why I love the movie as well. Like you touched upon like sound design and how the clock ticking like scene, right? Another scene where sound design was very effectively used was when she finally gets a chance to go sing on the stage, right? And what she does is that he cuts out all background music and it's just her breathing.
Oh yes.
And it's just her breathing. She won't be able to sing. And she walks out of there. From after that scene, if you notice in the rest of the movie, he never again tells you that she has never sung again.
Right.
But you know it.
No.
You know why?
Yeah.
No, not just that.
Because she's used to the struggle very well.
No. That's when she flips.
Yeah, that's when she flips.
Yeah.
He never uses that to show. So there
And
is
you're
no
not
explicitly saying,
like
okay, I can never sing again. There's
Guys, the difference between Animal and the difference between Arjun Reddy and this movie. I'll tell you guys right now. When this scene is shown, you're not hating her anymore. You never hated her right? Even when she's marrying someone else, like you're like,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
There's no comparison.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no comparison.
There's no comparison.
There is no comparison.
So then Animal is a piece of shit now.
Yeah. Compared to SSC, yes,
I mean,
it
this is my top one. That's not in my top 10 also, I told you. So, so I mean, even in that scene, the reason you don't question, even though she never is able to sing again for the rest of the movie, is because in that scene he showed without saying anything that every time she wants to, now she almost has like an anxiety attack, almost a psychological reaction to it.
He is her song.
That is, just by using her breathing. Like as a sound design technique, like that was a brilliant thing to do.
She's
the last.
I was choking up like with her. Right?
The last scene of the movie where he gets into the prison and locks himself up inside. So that's his life. Like, I mean, he's locked inside. That's prison for him. She opens the door for her husband to walk in.
Yeah.
That's her prison. Right? Like, I mean,
I saw that. I
and
realized
it's,
that.
and both of those are kind of juxtaposed next to each other. Like, I mean, it's brilliant. It's
And the score and the BGM, like when
and the other brilliant jump cut where she's about to commit suicide, and immediate cut is her getting married. And the meaning there is that speech,
because
even bigger suicide for her.
this is worse than death.
Yeah, worse than
death.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, like
the climax.
those
Look,
freaking-
all this we are sitting later and discussing, but when watching the movie for the first time, the climax, right? There's just a sequence of scenes.
No, remember, like, we both watched it together in the theater, and I was telling, bro, like, just kill me. Like, why are you making me cry so much? Like, just like
In the climax, you know what? You know how I felt? I felt like I know I'm going to, like, I'm standing on a cliff. I'm standing on the edge of a boat. I know I'm going to die. I don't want to fall, but I want also someone to come and pull me in and kill me. It's okay. It's so weird.
just put me out of my misery.
Put me out of my misery somehow.
No, like the thing is, like the most beautiful thing about the movie is, like if any of this was done to like maybe like assuage the viewer or like the audience, right? Like it wouldn't evoke this much emotion. Like we didn't plan any of this.
Right.
We didn't even talk about SSA this deeply until we got here. But like if they had done any of that, like it wouldn't evoke this much emotion, connect, and kind of introspection within us, right? Like because it was that honest, like all of us are just
Right.
I think basically what we're all agreeing to is the power of cinema, right? Jagatinda 2 we like an SID. Look at what it can do to you. Right?
Right.
Viduthalai.
No, like I
Agreed.
no, this is like there are a lot of my friends as well. Like
I'll tell you what. The movie that Lawrence makes in Jigarthanda 2 is Viduthalai.
bro, I felt the same way. You know what I felt? I felt like this is Karthik Subraj. No, bro. I felt like this is Karthik Subraj saying, you fuckers are like, do not understand metaphor. How about I just like make it more blatant?
Yeah.
Right? You think like what happened in Viduthalai is like some sort of, because Vetrimaran is a psycho, like, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Your state,
movie-
your government is psycho. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what he captured. Like,
Yeah. Alright, guys.
Alright, yeah. So
Finally,
done.
this time we really are done. Alright?
we really are
Thank you.
Thank you.
for watching and sitting through this entire fight.
Clusterfuck.
Once we turn the video off, they're going to fight. I'm going to change into a striped shirt and I'll be the ref.
Yeah.
Animal or Viduthalai?